If you are a homeowner in Amador County, California, or are planning to become one, I'm going to be sharing the update on the latest real estate market trends from September of 2024. Now, before you go anywhere, I know market stats aren't all that fun to watch, but I'm really trying to make this as informative for you as possible and as quick as possible so that I can give you the detailed information that you need when it comes to buying and selling your home when the time comes, and you're not adding all this extra fluff that you don't care about. So I also am going to be sharing as we go along kind of what market we're in, whether we're in a buyer's market, a neutral market, or a seller's market, and kind of how we're trending as we go along. So let's get started. All right, overall from a high-level perspective, in September there were 5.8 months of inventory available based on the closed sales in Amador County, which, believe it or not, keeps us in a neutral market. So if you're wondering what months of inventory means, it just kind of tells you how many months it would take for all the homes that are currently on the market to sell given the average sales volume this month. So 3 to 6 months of inventory indicates a more balanced or neutral market that we're in right now that's equally beneficial or neutral for buyers and for sellers. Less than 3 months of inventory means there's not a lot of inventory available, which can drive prices up and is more beneficial to sellers, which indicates a seller's market. And more than 6 months of inventory means there are more properties available for buyers to choose from, which can drive prices down and is more beneficial to buyers, which indicates a buyer's market. So how is that number trending versus last month? Well, it's up roughly 1.7% from last month that had 5.9 months of inventory, and is also up 7.4% from 5.4 months of inventory compared to this time last year, which these numbers don't really surprise me as we keep hearing about interest rates dropping, but not as significantly as we'd expect. So many would-be sellers are still waiting on the sidelines before putting their home on the market. But we'll keep an eye on the market over the next few months as rates continue to decline to see how sellers respond and as we continue through the fall market. Okay, so the average for sale or list price for a single family home in Amador County is $697,000. But keep in mind that is the average across the entire county. They range from an average list price of $435,000 in Pioneer to over $1.7 million in Plymouth. The average list price in Amador County is actually going down slightly by 1.4% from $707,000 versus this last month, but is up slightly from 0.7% from $692,000 versus this time last year. So while it may seem that pricing is kind of stabilized, in my opinion, it could just be that many would-be buyers and sellers are still waiting to see what the market is doing when it comes to interest rates and also the upcoming election in November before making a move. Only time will tell as we continue through the fall market what these numbers are going to look like. Okay, so it is also important to take a look at what properties are actually selling for, because this paints a much better picture on what the market is up to. So the average sold or closed price for single family residents in Amador County is $500,000, again across the entire county. They range from an average closed price of $333,000 in Pioneer to $801,000 in Fiddletown in the River Pines area. So the average closed price is up 11.4% from $449,000 versus last month, and it is also up 5.7% from $473,000 this time last year. So as you can see, this paints a much better picture on what the market is up to in Amador County. All right, moving along, the average listed sale price was 93% in September. That means that properties were selling for 93% of the list price. So sellers were agreeing to come down from their original list price by 7%. So this stat is trending down from 96% versus last month, and it is also down from 95% versus this time last year. So now when you're looking at this stat, you've really got to keep in mind this has a lot to do with the strategy a seller uses when they're listing their property, such as overpricing their home to entice bidding wars. Although it would seem sellers aren't doing that these days, the areas of Fiddletown and River Pines had an average list to sale price of 104%. So bidding wars are still happening in those areas. Now, the list to sale price is also another indicator of what type of market we're heading towards. So the lower the ratio is below 100%, the more of a buyer's market exists, and the higher the ratio is at or above 100% indicates more of a seller's market. So looking at these numbers, it seems that we're headed towards a buyer's market, which, if you remember, we're at 5.8 months of inventory, which is pretty close to the 6-month threshold to enter into a buyer's market. So we'll need to monitor all these numbers pretty closely over the next few months to see where they're trending. Now you may be wondering how long it's taking for properties to sell. On average in September in Amador County it was taking 65 days for a property to sell. That is trending up from last month where it only took 44 days on average, and it is also up from last year where it took about 43 days on average. So just know that if you're planning to sell your home, it's going to take a little longer than it has in the past, but we'll keep an eye on the stat until we go through the fall market to see if it's market driven or just seasonally driven. So the average days on market can also show whether we're in a buyer's or seller's market, because an upward trend in days on market tends to indicate more of a move towards a buyer's market because sellers are more willing to come down in price the longer that their home sits on the market. Whereas a downward trend indicates more of a move to a seller's market because homes are selling quicker and buyers are more willing to come down and up in price so that they don't miss out on a home before it's sold to someone else. So looking at these numbers, again, it shows that we're trending towards a buyer's market. Now for everyone's favorite topic, interest rates. According to Freddie Mac, mortgage rates in September range between 5.16% and 6.35%, depending on if you're going fixed or variable, the type of loan you're getting, whether it's conventional, jumbo, and the loan term length, whether you're doing a 30-year or a 15-year loan. Other factors that impact your interest rate is your credit score, your down payment amount, your total loan amount, if you want to pay any discount points to reduce your rate, and several other factors. So as I mentioned in my market update video last month, rates are starting to decline. I just recorded another video that I'll link below to give you some more insight on how these Fed rate cuts impact you as a buyer, as a seller, and as a homeowner. So be sure to check that out at the end of this video. So in summary, when you look at September's market stats, although it looks like things are stabilizing, I personally think it's too early to call it because the market is still shifting with rate cuts in the upcoming election that we talked about earlier. It will be very interesting to see how the market shifts as we continue through the fall market onto the upcoming winter lull. The experts are saying maybe a lot busier this year than what we typically see. So be sure to stick around for the next few months to see how the numbers start to trend. But one really important thing to remember about these macro level market statistics is they really don't mean a whole lot when you're looking at the entire county, because what's happening in Ione or Jackson can be completely different than what's happening somewhere else. And even within these areas, there are different micro markets everywhere to be aware of. So for instance, if you're thinking of selling, those of you in Fiddletown and River Pines may be in a multiple offer situation if you have a desirable home. Now, if you're looking to upgrade that desirable home and buy a new, bigger property, pricing dropped by over 11.4% from August to September in the Ione Lake Comanche area. So now could be a good opportunity to make that move. So, bottom line is whether you're buying or selling, your situation is unique, and a general update should be taken with a grain of salt. So if you want a more accurate market analysis for your home, or if you're thinking of buying and want to know where those hidden opportunities may lie for you, you can either request a free, no obligation market evaluation, or book a call with me to have a no-pressure conversation about your options. I am not here to convince you one way or another. I'm just here to give you the straight goods so that you're informed to make the best decision that's right for you based on your personal situation and your goals. So if you find that would be helpful, you can click on the links with this video below. Otherwise, feel free to check out my other videos, and I'll be back next month with an updated market report.